United States District Court. Case 120 mj-00132 AJ Document 1 filed July 2, 2020 page 1 of 19, Mod AO 442, 09/13, Arrest Warrant, Asa Name and Telno, Allison Moe, 212-637-2225, United States of America, v. Ghislaine Maxwell, United States District Court, for the Southern District of New York, 20 CR 330, Case No, Defendant, Arrest Warrant, 2. Any authorized law enforcement officer, you are commanded to arrest and bring before a United States magistrate judge without unnecessary delay. Name of person to be arrested, Ghislaine Maxwell, who is accused of an offense or violation based on the following document filed with the court. Indictment superseding information complaint probation violation petition supervised release violation petition violation notice order of the court. This offense is briefly described as follows. Title 18, United States Code, Section 371, Conspiracy to entice minors. Title 18 United States Code Sections 2422 and 2 Enticement of a minor. Title 18 United States Code Section 371 Conspiracy to transport minors. Title 18 United States Code Sections 2423 and 2 Transportation of a minor. Title 18 United States Code Section 1623 Perjury. Date June 29, 2020. City and State White Plains, New York. Issuing officer signature Hon. Lisa Margaret Smith, U.S. Magistrate Judge. Printed name and title. Return. This warrant was received on date at City and State, and the person was arrested on date. Arresting officer signature. Printed name and title. Case 120 mj-00132 AJ Document 1 filed July 2, 2020 page 2 of 19. United States District Court Southern District of New York, United States of America. Ghislaine Maxwell, defendant. Sealed indictment. 20 CR 330. Count 1 Conspiracy to entice minors to travel to engage in illegal acts. The grand jury charges. Overview. 1. The charges set forth herein stem from the role of Ghislaine Maxwell, the defendant, in the sexual exploitation and abuse of multiple minor girls by Jeffrey Epstein, in particular, from at least in or about 1994, up to and including, at least in or about 1997, Maxwell assisted, facilitated, and contributed to Jeffrey Epstein's abuse of minor girls by, among other things, helping Epstein to recruit, groom, and ultimately, abuse victims known to Maxwell and Epstein to be under the age of 18. The victims were as young as 14 years old when they were groomed and abused by Maxwell and Epstein, both of whom knew that certain victims were in fact under the age of 18. 2. As a part and in furtherance of their scheme to abuse minor victims, Ghislaine Maxwell, the defendant, and Jeffrey Epstein enticed and caused minor victims to travel to Case 120 mj-00132 AJ Document 1 filed July 2, 2020 page 3 of 19. Epstein's residences in different states, which Maxwell knew and intended would result in their grooming for and subjection to sexual abuse. Moreover, in an effort to conceal her crimes, Maxwell repeatedly lied when questioned about her conduct, including in relation to some of the minor victims described herein, when providing testimony under oath in 2016. Factual background. 3. During the time periods charged in this indictment, Ghislaine Maxwell, the defendant, had a personal and professional relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and was among his closest associates. In particular, between in or about 1994 and in or about 1997, Maxwell was in an intimate relationship with Epstein and also was paid by Epstein to manage his various properties. Over the course of their relationship, Maxwell and Epstein were photographed together on multiple occasions, including in the below image. 2. Case 120 mj-00132 AJ Document 1 filed July 2, 2020 page 4 of 19. 4. Beginning in at least 1994, Ghislaine Maxwell, the defendant, enticed and groomed multiple minor girls to engage in sex acts with Jeffrey Epstein through a variety of means and methods, including but not limited to the following. A. Maxwell first attempted to befriend some of Epstein's minor victims prior to their abuse, including by asking the victims about their lives, their schools, and their families. Maxwell and Epstein would spend time building friendships with minor victims by, for example, taking minor victims to the movies or shopping. Some of these outings would involve Maxwell and Epstein spending time together with the minor victim, while some would involve Maxwell or Epstein spending time alone with the minor victim. B. Having developed a rapport with the victim, Maxwell would try to normalize sexual abuse for a minor victim by, among other things, discussing sexual topics, undressing in front of the victim, being present when a minor victim was undressed, and or being present for sex acts involving the minor victim and Epstein. C. Maxwell's presence during minor victims' interactions with Epstein, including interactions where the minor victim was undressed or that involved sex acts with Epstein, helped put the victims at ease because an adult woman was present. For example, in some instances, Maxwell would. 3. Case 120 mj-00132 AJ Document 1 filed July 2, 2020 page 5 of 19. VI. Massage Epstein in front of a minor victim. In other instances, Maxwell encouraged minor victims to provide massages to Epstein, including sexualized massages during which a minor victim would be fully or partially nude. Many of those massages resulted in Epstein sexually abusing the minor victims. D. In addition, Epstein offered to help some minor victims by paying for travel and or educational opportunities, and Maxwell encouraged certain victims to accept Epstein's assistance. As a result, victims were made to feel indebted and believed that Maxwell and Epstein were trying to help them. Through this process, Maxwell and Epstein enticed victims to engage in sexual activity with Epstein. In some instances, Maxwell was present for and participated in the sexual abuse of minor victims. Some such incidents occurred in the context of massages, which developed into sexual encounters. 5. Ghislaine Maxwell, the defendant, facilitated Jeffrey Epstein's access to minor victims knowing that he had a sexual preference for underage girls and that he intended to engage in sexual activity with those victims. Epstein's resulting abuse of minor victims included, among other things, touching a victim's breast, touching a victim's genitals, placing a sex toy such as a vibrator on a victim's genitals. 4. Case 120 mj-00132 AJ Document 1 filed July 2, 2020 page 6 of 19. Directing a victim to touch Epstein while he masturbated, and directing a victim to touch Epstein's genitals. Maxwell and Epstein's victims. 6. Between approximately in or about 1994 and in or about 1997, Ghislaine Maxwell, the defendant, facilitated Jeffrey Epstein's access to minor victims by, among other things, inducing and enticing, and aiding and abetting the inducement and enticement of multiple minor victims. Victims were groomed and or abused at multiple locations, including the following. A multi-story private residence on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, New York owned by Epstein. The New York residence, which is depicted in the following photograph. 5. Case 120 mj-00132 AJ Document 1 filed July 2, 2020 page 7 of 19. B. An estate in Palm Beach, Florida owned by Epstein, the Palm Beach residence, which is depicted in the following photograph. C. A ranch in Santa Fe, New Mexico owned by Epstein, the New Mexico residence, which is depicted in the following photograph. 6. Case 120 mj-00132 AJ Document 1 filed July 2, 2020 page 8 of 19. D. Maxwell's personal residence in London, England. 7. Among the victims induced or enticed by Ghislaine Maxwell, the defendant, were minor victims identified herein as minor victim 1, minor victim 2, and minor victim 3. In particular, and during time periods relevant to this indictment, Maxwell engaged in the following acts, among others, with respect to minor victims. A. Maxwell met minor victim 1 when minor Victim 1 was approximately 14 years old. Maxwell subsequently interacted with minor victim 1 on multiple occasions at Epstein's residences, knowing that minor victim 1 was under the age of 18 at the time. During these interactions, which took place between approximately 1994 and 1997, Maxwell groomed minor Victim 1 to engage in sexual acts with Epstein through multiple means. First, Maxwell and Epstein attempted to befriend minor Victim 1, taking her to the movies and on shopping trips. Maxwell also asked minor Victim 1 about school, her classes, her family, and other aspects of her life. Maxwell then sought to normalize inappropriate and abusive conduct by, among other things, undressing in front of minor Victim 1 and being present when minor Victim 1 undressed in front of Epstein. Within the first year after Maxwell and Epstein met minor Victim 1, Epstein began sexually abusing minor Victim 1. Maxwell was present for 7. Case 120 mj-00132 AJ Document 1 filed July 2, 2020 page 9 of 19, and involved in some of this abuse. In particular, Maxwell involved minor Victim 1 in group sexualized massages of Epstein. During those group sexualized massages, Maxwell and or minor Victim 1 would engage in sex acts with Epstein. Epstein and Maxwell both encouraged minor Victim 1 to travel to Epstein's residences in both New York and Florida. As a result, minor Victim 1 was sexually abused by Epstein in both New York and Florida. Minor Victim 1 was enticed to travel across state lines for the purpose of sexual encounters with Epstein, and Maxwell was aware that Epstein engaged in sexual activity with minor Victim 1 after minor Victim 1 traveled to Epstein's properties, including in the context of a sexualized massage. Maxwell interacted with minor Victim 2 on at least one occasion in or about 1996 at Epstein's residence in New Mexico when minor Victim 2 was under the age of 18. Minor Victim 2 had flown into New Mexico from out of state at Epstein's invitation for the purpose of being groomed for and or subjected to acts of sexual abuse. Maxwell knew that minor Victim 2 was under the age of 18 at the time. While in New Mexico, Maxwell and Epstein took minor Victim 2 to a movie and Maxwell took minor Victim 2 shopping. Maxwell also discussed minor Victim 2's school, classes, and family with minor Victim 2. In New Mexico, Maxwell began her efforts to groom minor Victim 2 for abuse by Epstein by, among other things, providing 8. Case 120 mj-00132 AJ Document 1 filed July 2, 2020 page 10 of 19 an unsolicited massage to minor Victim 2, during which minor Victim 2 was topless. Maxwell also encouraged minor Victim 2 to massage Epstein. C. Maxwell groomed and befriended minor Victim 3 in London, England between approximately 1994 and 1995, including during a period of time in which Maxwell knew that minor Victim 3 was under the age of 18. Among other things, Maxwell discussed minor Victim 3's life and family with minor Victim 3. Maxwell introduced minor Victim 3 to Epstein and arranged for multiple interactions between minor Victim 3 and Epstein. During those interactions, Maxwell encouraged minor Victim 3 to massage Epstein, knowing that Epstein would engage in sex acts with minor Victim 3 during those massages. Minor Victim 3 provided Epstein with the requested massages, and during those massages, Epstein sexually abused minor Victim 3. Maxwell was aware that Epstein engaged in sexual activity with minor Victim 3 on multiple occasions, including at times when minor Victim 3 was under the age of 18, including in the context of a sexualized massage. Maxwell's efforts to conceal her conduct. 8. In or around 2016. In the context of a deposition as part of civil litigation Ghislaine Maxwell, the defendant, repeatedly provided false and perjurious statements under oath regarding, among other subjects, her role in facilitating the 9. Case 120 mj-00132 AJ Document 1 filed July 2, 2020 page 11 of 19. Abuse of minor victims by Jeffrey Epstein, including some of the specific events and acts of abuse detailed above. Statutory allegations. 9. From at least in or about 1994, up to and including in or about 1997, in the Southern District of New York, and elsewhere, Ghislaine Maxwell, the defendant, Jeffrey Epstein, and others known and unknown, willfully and knowingly, did combine, conspire, confederate, and agree together and with each other to commit an offense against the United States, 2. With enticement, in violation of Title 18, United States Code, Section 2422, 10. It was a part and object of the conspiracy that Ghislaine Maxwell, the defendant, Jeffrey Epstein, and others, known and unknown, would and did knowingly persuade, induce, entice, and coerce one and more individuals to travel in interstate and foreign commerce, to engage in sexual activity, for which a person can be charged with a criminal offense, in violation of Title 18, United States Code, Section 2422, overt acts. 11. In furtherance of the conspiracy and to effect the illegal object thereof, the following overt acts, among others, were committed in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere. 10. Case 120 mj-00132 AJ Document 1 filed July 2, 2020 page 12 of 19. 1. A. Between in or about 1994 and in or about 1997, when minor victim 1 was under the age of 18, Maxwell participated in multiple group sexual encounters with Epstein and minor victim 1 in New York and Florida. B. In or about 1996, when minor victim 1 was under the age of 18, minor victim 1 was enticed to travel from Florida to New York for purposes of sexually abusing her at the New York residence, in violation of New York Penal Law, Section 130.55. C. In or about 1996, when minor victim 2 was under the age